My brother tried to sell my grandfather's military memorabilia for $20. The shop owner locked the door. Not to keep him in, to keep someone else out. My name is Corin. I am 28. I work in a job people call paperwork until it ruins their week. Derek is my older brother, the one my parents forgive before he even apologizes. Frank runs the pawn shop, Vietnam era, the kind of man who does not scare easy, which is why him freezing mattered. My grandfather Walter served in Vietnam. He told me once only someone who wore a uniform would understand what was in his box. Derek never wore one. He never asked what any of it meant either. My mother calls it being practical. My father calls it teaching responsibility. Funny how responsibility always lands on the same child. If you have ever watched a toxic family turn your pain into a joke, stay with me. I did not fight him in the driveway. I let the system do what it was built to do, and I kept receipts. The thing Derek carried into that shop was not flashy. No gold, no shine. Just a dented brass compass with an engraving on the back and a faded unit ribbon taped inside the lid. To him, it was clutter. To my grandfather, it was the one thing he took out of Vietnam and never talked about. My parents had let him keep it in their garage for years, right next to old paint cans and a broken treadmill. When I asked them to move it inside once, my mother smiled and said, "You worry too much, Corin. Your brother needs the space more than that old box does." Derek needed money. He always did. He flipped thrift store finds on his phone and called it a business. He had a talent for selling other people's things and explaining later. That morning he filmed a cheerful little video in our parents' driveway holding up the compass like it was a joke prize. "Grandpa would want this to be useful," he said, laughing. My father laughed too. My mother said, "It is just metal." I stood there and did not say anything. I watched his hands. I watched the way he wrapped it in a grocery bag like it was nothing. I told myself I would deal with it after my coffee. I did not know yet that I had about 30 minutes. Frank told me later that when Derek set the compass on the glass counter, he flipped it over without thinking. He saw the engraving, he saw the serial format, he saw the year, 1969. He did not raise his voice. He did not swear. He just stopped moving. 6 seconds. 7. Then he walked to the door and turned the lock. He pulled the shade halfway down and put the closed sign up, even though it was 11:30 on a Tuesday. Derek joked, "What you closing early? I am not robbing you." Frank said, "No, I am preventing you from making a mistake you cannot afford." Then he said a phrase Derek did not understand. Recovered field item. Frank told me his hands shook when he dialed a number he had not used in 10 years. He said he did not call a general or anyone dramatic like that. He called a man he used to share coffee with who now worked inside a property recovery network. He said, "I think someone is trying to sell something that was never supposed to be sold." Derek texted me 5 minutes later. "You would not believe this idiot shop owner." I did not reply. I was already on my phone, already opening a blank email, already typing 3 words that made my stomach go cold. Asset recovery request. There is a part of my job where you learn not to panic. You learn to ask the right questions and only the right questions. Do you still have it? Is the serial visible? Did he sign anything? Frank answered yes, yes, and no. I told him, "Do not process a transaction. I am opening a ticket." He said a ticket. I said, "It will make sense in 5 minutes. If your family sold something sacred behind your back, would you handle it privately or let consequences handle it publicly?" Before this story continues, please let me be clear about one important thing. The story you are about to hear is a fictional story created for entertainment and educational purposes, centered on toxic family conflicts and the emotional impact they leave behind in the context of military life and United States military families. All characters, ranks, units, events, and situations are entirely fictional and do not reflect, or refer to any real individuals, military units, or organizations within the United States Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, or Coast Guard. This content may be supported by artificial intelligence tools during the creative and production process. This story does not depict real events, does not disclose military information, and does not promote violence, hatred, or harm of any kind. The message is told with respect for the core values of the United States military, including honor, discipline, responsibility, and human dignity. All content is designed to be advertiser-friendly, compliant with YouTube community guidelines, and not intended to distort or misrepresent the image of the United States military or American service members. If you are a woman who has ever stood behind a military family, who has ever stayed silent, endured, and carried more than anyone saw stay until the end, and if this story touches you, share your thoughts in the comments, or follow the channel to continue with stories for strong hearts that are rarely listened to. North Carolina looks quiet from the outside. Tree-lined streets, identical mailboxes, flags on porches that get replaced every Veterans Day. My parents live in one of those beige suburbs about 20 minutes from Fort Liberty, close enough that half the neighbors have a military sticker on their truck and a story they tell at barbecues. It is the kind of place where people talk about honor a lot and practice it selectively. Their house has not changed since I was in high school. Same couch, same framed photos, same garage that smells like motor oil and old paint. That garage is where my grandfather's box lived for years, wedged between a broken treadmill and a stack of plastic storage bins nobody has opened since the Clinton administration. I had asked once if we could move it inside, not for drama, just inside, somewhere dry, somewhere that did not feel like a slow erasure. My mother smiled like I had asked her to reorganize the whole house for a rock. "You worry too much, Corin," she said. "Your brother needs the space more than that old box does." My father nodded like it made sense. Derek had been living in and out of their house again, between ideas, between jobs, between whatever phase he was calling a business that month. That week it was flipping thrift store finds. He had parked his car halfway into the garage boxes of random junk stacked in the trunk, all tagged with little sticky notes that said profit. My father stood there with him one evening, arms crossed, talking about discipline and values. "You know, Dad said the military taught me one thing. Honor matters. Reputation matters. You do not cut corners." Derek nodded like he was absorbing wisdom, even though he was scrolling through his phone at the same time. I stood in the doorway listening. Dad kept talking about how young people today do not respect history anymore. He said kids throw away medals and flags like they are clutter. He said it was sad. Then Derek laughed and said, "Hey, speaking of clutter, what is in that old box anyway?" Dad shrugged. "Your grandfather's stuff. Old army junk." Derek bent down and slid the box out from the wall like he was uncovering buried treasure. The lid squeaked. Inside was the compass, the faded ribbon, a few letters wrapped in tissue paper. He picked up the compass and turned it over in his hand. "Cool," he said. "Heavy. Must be worth something." My mother came into the garage holding a dish towel. "It is just metal," she said lightly. "Grandpa would not care. He is not here anymore." My father added, "He would want you kids to be practical. You cannot live in the past." They said all of this while standing 3 feet from the one thing my grandfather had told me not to sell, the only thing he ever asked me to protect. I did not say that out loud. I have learned that in my family the child who says nothing becomes the reliable one, the one who takes it, the one who absorbs it, the one who is always fine. My mother likes to say that about me. "You are always fine, Corin." She says it when I am tired. She says it when I am upset. She says it when I ask for something that makes her uncomfortable. Always fine. It sounds like a compliment until you realize it means, do not make this about you. Derek was not always fine. Derek was dramatic. Derek was sensitive. Derek was trying. Derek was misunderstood. When his credit card debt piled up, my parents paid it off and called it helping him reset. When his car broke down, my father lent him the truck for 6 months. When his last business idea collapsed, they called it an investment and not a loss. When I asked for help just once with the deposit on my first apartment, my father printed out a spreadsheet and explained budgeting to me like I was 12. I paid him back. Early. It did not change anything. Standing in that garage, I watched Derek lift the compass out of the box. I watched my parents watch him. Nobody stopped him. Nobody asked what he was doing. Nobody remembered that I had said clearly more than once that this was the only thing Grandpa left for me. I had asked them to keep it safe. They had said yes. Then they had put it next to a broken treadmill and forgotten about it. Derek wrapped it in a grocery bag like he was packing leftovers. I felt something tighten in my chest, not dramatic, just quiet. The way you feel when a pattern finishes revealing itself. Dad said, "If you can get a few bucks for it, why not? Use it towards something useful." My mother nodded. Derek grinned. I stood there and said nothing. I noticed the engraving on the back as he turned it. I noticed the serial format. I noticed the year. I had seen that type of serial before. I did not explain what that meant. I did not argue. I did not raise my voice. I told myself I would deal with it after my coffee. I told myself there would be time. My mother touched my arm as I walked past her into the house. "You are always fine, Corin," she said softly. I nodded because that is what I do. Then I went into the kitchen and stared at the sink for a long time, counting the seconds it took for the faucet to stop dripping. I wrote down the time in my phone. I wrote down what Derek had said about where he was going. I did not tell anyone why. I did not need to. North Carolina looks quiet from the outside. Tree-lined streets, identical mailboxes, flags on porches that get replaced every Veterans Day. My parents live in one of those beige suburbs about 20 minutes from Fort Liberty, close enough that half the neighbors have a military sticker on their truck and a story they tell at barbecues. It is the kind of place where people talk about honor a lot and practice it selectively. Their house has not changed since I was in high school. Same couch, same framed photos, same garage that smells like motor oil and old paint. That garage is where my grandfather's box lived for years, wedged between a broken treadmill and a stack of plastic storage bins nobody has opened since the Clinton administration. I had asked once if we could move it inside. Not for drama, just inside. Somewhere dry. Somewhere that did not feel like a slow erasure. My mother smiled like I had asked her to reorganize the whole house for a rock. "You worry too much, Corin," she said. "Your brother needs the space more than that old box does." My father nodded like it made sense. Derek had been living in and out of their house again. Between ideas, between jobs, between whatever phase he was calling a business that month. That week it was flipping thrift store finds. He had parked his car halfway into the garage, boxes of random junk stacked in the trunk, all tagged with little sticky notes that said, "Profit." My father stood there with him one evening, arms crossed, talking about discipline and values. "You know, Dad said the military taught me one thing. Honor matters. Reputation matters. You do not cut corners." Derek nodded like he was absorbing wisdom, even though he was scrolling through his phone at the same time. I stood in the doorway listening. Dad kept talking about how young people today do not respect history anymore. He said kids throw away medals and flags like they are clutter. He said it was sad. Then Derek laughed and said, "Hey, speaking of clutter, what is in that old box anyway?" Dad shrugged. "Your grandfather's stuff. Old army junk." Derek bent down and slid the box out from the wall like he was uncovering buried treasure. The lid squeaked. Inside was the compass, the faded ribbon, a few letters wrapped in tissue paper. He picked up the compass and turned it over in his hand. "Cool," he said. "Heavy. Must be worth something." My mother came into the garage holding a dish towel. "It is just metal," she said lightly. "Grandpa would not care. He is not here anymore." My father added, "He would want you kids to be practical. You cannot live in the past." They said all of this while standing 3 feet from the one thing my grandfather had told me not to sell. The only thing he ever asked me to protect. I did not say that out loud. I have learned that in my family the child who says nothing becomes the reliable one. The one who takes it. The one who absorbs it. The one who is always fine. My mother likes to say that about me. "You are always fine, Corin." She says it when I am tired. She says it when I am upset. She says it when I ask for something that makes her uncomfortable. Always fine. It sounds like a compliment until you realize it means, do not make this about you. Derek was not always fine. Derek was dramatic. Derek was sensitive. Derek was trying. Derek was misunderstood. When his credit card debt piled up, my parents paid it off and called it helping him reset. When his car broke down, my father lent him the truck for 6 months. When his last business idea collapsed, they called it an investment and not a loss. When I asked for help once, just once, with a deposit on my first apartment, my father printed out a spreadsheet and explained budgeting to me like I was 12. I paid him back, early. It did not change anything. Standing in that garage, I watched Derek lift the compass out of the box. I watched my parents watch him. Nobody stopped him. Nobody asked what he was doing. Nobody remembered that I had said clearly more than once that this was the only thing Grandpa left for me. I had asked them to keep it safe. They had said yes. Then they had put it next to a broken treadmill and forgotten about it. Derek wrapped it in a grocery bag like he was packing leftovers. I felt something tighten in my chest, not dramatic, just quiet, the way you feel when a pattern finishes revealing itself. Dad said, "If you can get a few bucks for it, why not? Use it toward something useful." My mother nodded. Derek grinned. I stood there and said nothing. I noticed the engraving on the back as he turned it. I noticed the serial format. I noticed the year. I had seen that type of serial before. I did not explain what that meant. I did not argue. I did not raise my voice. I told myself I would deal with it after my coffee. I told myself there would be time. My mother touched my arm as I walked past her into the house. "You are always fine, Corin," she said softly. I nodded because that is what I do. Then I went into the kitchen and stared at the sink for a long time, counting the seconds it took for the faucet to stop dripping. I wrote down the time in my phone. I wrote down what Derek had said about where he was going. I did not tell anyone why. I did not need to. Derek did not leave quietly. He never does. He turned the driveway into a little stage, propping his phone against the side mirror of his car, angling it until the sunlight hit his face just right. I watched from the kitchen window while he practiced his opening line like he was auditioning for something. "Hey guys, thrift flip haul," he said, smiling into his own reflection. He reached into the grocery bag and pulled out the compass. "Grandpa would want this to be useful," he said, laughing like he had just told a harmless joke. My father leaned against the garage door and laughed with him. My mother stood behind him with her arms folded, nodding. "It is just metal," she said. "Corin always makes things sentimental." Derek looked straight at me through the window and raised the compass like a trophy. "You hear that, paper girl? Even Mom says it is junk." I did not step outside. I did not tell him to stop filming. I did not say that Grandpa had given that compass to me and not to him. I stood there with my hands on the counter and waited for the coffee machine to finish dripping. Derek zoomed the camera in on the engraving, squinting at it like he was trying to read a foreign language. "Some numbers, some letters," he said. "Probably nothing. Must be heavy because it is old. Vintage weight. That is good for resale." My father cleared his throat in the background. "Real military is out there, not in your emails," he said, nodding toward me. Derek laughed. "Desk soldier. That is what I should call you, Corin. Desk soldier." I finally stepped into the doorway. "You should not sell that," I said, quietly. My voice sounded smaller than I wanted it to. Derek rolled his eyes without looking at me. "Relax. Grandpa would want this to be useful. He would want me to flip it and turn it into something real." My mother smiled at him. "You always figure things out, honey," she said. "You are the tough one." I stood there and felt that familiar hollow space open up in my chest, the one that appears when everyone agrees on a version of reality that excludes me. Derek tucked the compass back into the grocery bag and reached into the box again. He pulled out the faded unit patch and a ribbon folded into a neat square. He waved them at the camera. "Bonus items," he said. "Probably throw these in for free." My father chuckled. "Nobody wants old patches," he said. "It is not like anyone is wearing that anymore." I watched his hands. I watched him slip the patch into his jacket pocket. I watched him fold the ribbon into his wallet. I said nothing. I told myself I would deal with it later. Derek ended the video and grabbed his keys. "Fayetteville is on the way to my storage unit," he said. "I will hit a pawn shop or two. See what I get." My mother handed him a bottle of water like he was going on a road trip. "Drive safe," she said. "Text us if you make a sale." Derek grinned. He looked at me one more time. "You should be thanking me, paper girl. I am turning your nostalgia into cash." I did not respond. I stood in the garage and watched him pull out of the driveway. The smell of exhaust hung in the air. My father closed the garage door. "You take things too personally, Corin," he said. "You always have. It is just stuff." My mother nodded. "You are always fine," she said softly. I walked into the house and sat at the kitchen table. I opened my phone. I wrote down the time. 9:43 a.m. I wrote down what Derek had said, Fayetteville, pawn shop or two. I wrote down my father's comment about real military. I wrote down my mother's line about Grandpa wanting it to be useful. I did not know yet that those words would matter. I just knew that something had crossed a line. I opened the box again. It was lighter than it should have been. The space where the compass had been looked wrong like a missing tooth. The patch was gone. The ribbon was gone. The letters were still there, folded neatly in tissue paper. I ran my thumb over the empty spot where the compass had rested for years. I felt stupid for not stopping him. I felt tired in a way that had nothing to do with sleep. I did not cry. I did not slam anything. I did not call him. I wrote down another note in my phone. Compass missing. Patch missing. Ribbon missing. I told myself I was overreacting. I told myself he would bring it back if he did not get a good price. I told myself my parents would say something when they realized it mattered. None of those things happened. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. A text from Derek. Hitting a shop near Fort Liberty. Wish me luck. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed one word. Stop. I did not send it. I added another line to my notes. He said near Fort Liberty, Fayetteville, pawn shop. I closed my phone. I stood up. I picked up my keys. Then I put them back down. I sat there and waited. I did not go with him. That mattered later. Derek pulled into a small pawn shop off a side road in Fayetteville, 2 blocks from a strip mall and close enough to Fort Liberty that you could hear helicopters some afternoons. The place had one of those flickering open signs and a sun-bleached banner that said, "We buy military items," in red letters that had faded to pink. Inside, the air smelled like metal and old carpet. A small TV on the wall played a daytime game show with the volume turned low. A camera blinked red above the counter. Frank stood behind the glass case, leaning on his elbows, flipping through a ledger with a pen tucked behind his ear. Derek walked in like he owned the place. He set the grocery bag on the counter and smiled. "What can you do for me, old-timer?" he said. Frank looked up slow, the way men do when they have learned not to rush anything. He nodded once. "Depends what you brought," he said. Derek reached into the bag and pulled out the compass. He set it on the glass. It made a soft, dull sound when it landed. Frank picked it up with 2 fingers. He turned it over. He turned it back. He squinted at the face. He did not smile. He did not say anything. Derek shifted his weight. "Vintage brass," he said. "Heavy. Probably worth something." Frank turned it over again. He flipped it to the back. That is when it happened. He stopped. Not like someone actin', not like a movie freeze. His face just drained of color. His jaw tightened. His thumb rested on the engraving and did not move. 6 seconds. 7. Derek laughed nervously. "What, you closing early?" he said. "I am not robbing you." Frank did not answer. He set the compass down carefully like it might break. He walked to the front door. He locked it. He pulled the curtain across the window. He flipped the sign to closed. Derek took a step back. "Hey, man, what is this?" he said. Frank came back to the counter. "No," he said. "I am preventing you from making a mistake you cannot afford," Derek scoffed. "It is just a compass." Frank shook his head once. "Recovered field item," he said quietly. Derek frowned. "What does that even mean?" Frank picked the compass back up and pointed to the engraving. "Serial and unit marking," he said. "This is not souvenir junk. This was logged. This was recovered." Derek swallowed. "You are messing with me, right?" Frank reached for the phone under the counter. He dialed a number from memory. When the other line picked up, his voice changed. It got steadier, quieter. "This is Frank," he said. "Yeah, Fayetteville, pawn shop off Hay Street. I have a compass here, brass, engraved, serial matches format, unit marking from 1968. "Yeah." He listened. He nodded. He looked at Derek. He said into the phone, "I am keeping him here." Derek laughed again too loud. "Dude, relax. You are acting like this thing fell off a tank." Frank covered the receiver. "Sit down," he said. Derek hesitated. Frank did not raise his voice. He did not threaten him. He just looked at him. Derek sat. His knee started bouncing. "Who did you steal this from?" Frank asked. Derek bristled. "I did not steal anything. It was my grandfather's." "He died." Frank nodded slowly. "People lie when they are scared," he said. "People lie when they are greedy. Sometimes both." He went back to the phone. He said, "Yeah, the seller says it was his grandfather's." Pause. "Uh-huh." He looked at the compass again. He said, "No, I am not processing anything. No transaction." I locked the door. He hung up. Derek's hands were shaking now. "What the hell is going on?" he said. Frank folded his arms. "That compass was logged as recovered field property," he said. "That means it passed through an inventory system. It means it was never meant to be sold like this." Derek's face went pale. "You are saying it is illegal?" Frank shrugged. "I am saying I am not touching it." Derek stood up. "Give it back to me." Frank shook his head. "No, sit down. I called someone who knows how this works." Derek's phone buzzed. He looked at it. He looked at Frank. "Who did you call?" he said. Frank did not answer. He pointed at the camera. "Everything here is recorded," he said. "You want this to stay boring." Derek sat back down. His voice dropped. "I did not know," he said. Frank nodded. "That does not fix it." Derek rubbed his face. He muttered something about bad luck. Frank's phone rang. He answered. He listened. He said yes. Yes. Understood. He hung up. He looked at Derek. "You are going to wait here," he said. Derek laughed weakly. "For who?" Frank looked at the compass again. "For the person who opened the ticket," he said. Derek's eyes widened. "Ticket? What ticket?" Frank did not answer. He just leaned back against the counter and crossed his arms. Derek started sweating. He checked his phone again. He typed something. He deleted it. He typed again. He whispered, "I am screwed," under his breath. "If you were Frank, would you buy it quietly or stop the sale even if it was not your business?" My phone rang while I was standing in the Raleigh parking garage, one hand on the trunk, the other holding a grocery bag with wilted spinach and a loaf of bread I forgot I already had at home. "Unknown number," I answered anyway. "This is Corin," I said. Frank's voice came through low and careful. "I have your brother here," he said. "He tried to sell a compass. Brass. Engraved." I closed my eyes for half a second. "Do you still have it?" I asked. "Yes. Is the serial visible?" "Yes." "Did he sign anything?" "No." "Good," I said. "Do not process a transaction. I am opening a ticket." Frank hesitated. "Ticket?" I could hear the TV in the background, a buzzer from the shop door, footsteps. "It will make sense in 5 minutes," I said. I hung up. I did not call Derek. I did not call my parents. I opened my laptop on the trunk of my car and logged into a system most people think is boring until it ruins their week. I typed in the serial format I had seen too many times to pretend it was coincidence. I opened a new request. Asset recovery request. I filled in location Fayetteville pawn shop off Hay Street. Item description brass compass, engraved serial visible unit marking 1968. Possessor Derek. I did not write my last name. I never do. I hit submit. I sat on the bumper and waited. My phone buzzed again. Frank? I answered. You sound young, he said. I am not the person you think you are talking to, I said. He exhaled. What exactly did I just step into? You did the right thing, I said. Do not let him leave. Do not return the item. Do not sell it. He laughed once dry. I was not planning to. My phone pinged. New email. Subject line Asset Recovery Request 2147. Sender DOD Property Disposition Office. Authorized Liaison. Corin. Frank's voice came back through my phone different now. I just got an email, he said. I know, I said. He paused. I did not realize who I was speaking to. Nobody does, I said. Frank swallowed. The seller is sweating through his shirt. He keeps asking who is coming. Tell him to sit down, I said. He already is. I closed my laptop. I opened my car door. I did not rush. I did not drive to Fayetteville. I did not need to. The system was already moving. Derek called me. I let it ring. He called again. I answered on the third try. Corin, he said, his voice too loud. What did you do? Nothing you did not start, I said. Fix this, he said. Return everything. Now, I said. He laughed, panicked. You think you are funny. I hung up. My mother called. Corin, she said, sweet voice, loaded with accusation. What is going on? Your son took something that was not his to sell, I said. It was in the garage, she said. You always act like everything is yours. It was the only thing Grandpa left me, I said. She sighed. You are always okay, Corin. Why make this bigger than it is? I hung up. Another email arrived. Transaction hold confirmed. Investigation flag placed. Restitution channel initiated. I forwarded it to Frank. His reply came back a minute later. They just called the shop, asked me to secure the item, asked for camera footage, asked for his ID. I typed back. Do not give him anything. He will try to talk his way out. Frank sent back. He already is. I leaned my head against the headrest of my car. I remembered my father calling me a paper girl. I remembered Derek calling me a desk soldier. I remembered my mother saying I was always fine. My phone buzzed again. Frank. They told me to wait for a liaison, he said. I said nothing. He hesitated. That is you, right? I looked at the ceiling of my car. Yes, I said. Silence. I am still behind the counter, he said. Door locked. He is pacing. He thinks this will go away. It will not, I said. He exhaled slowly. Whatever you do for work, he said, it is not just paperwork. I smiled small. No, I said. It is consequences. Frank called again before I finished my drive home. His voice was not the same voice from earlier. It had dropped into something steadier, tighter. I did not realize who I was speaking to, he said. I smiled without humor. Nobody does, I said. He hesitated. They just sent 2 more emails. One from a regional property office. One from something called compliance review. They asked me to secure the item document chain of custody and keep the seller on site. I told them the door is locked and the camera is rolling. You did exactly what you were supposed to do, I said. He exhaled. The kid keeps asking if this is a prank. It is not, I said. Frank lowered his voice. I have been in this business 40 years. I have never seen a ticket move this fast. I did not answer. He waited. He said, You are not just a desk worker, are you? I am authorized to open a ticket, I said. That is all that matters. He went quiet. My phone buzzed with an email notification. Subject line, Verification Request Asset Recovery, 2147. Sender North Carolina Regional Property Office. CC Compliance Review. CCDOD disposition. Authorized liaison Corin. I did not open it yet. Frank said they just called the shop again. Asked me if the seller has a military background. Asked me if he signed anything. Asked me if he tried to leave. I told them no. I told them he is sitting on a folding chair next to the soda machine and sweating. Good, I said. Frank paused. I did not realize who I was speaking to, he said again. Nobody does, I said again. My father called me. He never calls me during the workday unless something is wrong with his car or his image. Corin, he said, voice sharp, controlled. What the hell is going on? Your son tried to sell Grandpa's compass, I said. It was in my garage, he said. You never came to get it. I asked you to hold it, I said. That does not make it yours, he snapped. It was Grandpa's, I said. He scoffed. You are making this into some kind of federal thing. It is already a federal thing, I said. He went silent. My mother called immediately after. Corin, she said, soft voice trembling, just enough to sound sincere. We just got a call from someone in a government office. They said Derek is in trouble. What did you tell them? Nothing that was not true, I said. You always do this, she said. You take things too far. He did not mean any harm. He did not know what it was. Ignorance does not turn stolen property into his property, I said. She sighed. You are always okay, Corin. Why are you doing this to your brother? I hung up. Derek called again. I answered. Corin, he said, voice cracking now. Fix this. This guy is acting like I stole a tank. You took something that was not yours to sell, I said. It was in Dad's garage, he snapped. It was mine, I said. It was Grandpa's, he said. Grandpa would want me to make money off it, he said. Grandpa would want you to not be a thief, I said. He cursed. They are asking me questions. They are talking about audits and reports and holds on my accounts. You did this. Return everything, now, I said. He laughed, panicked. I cannot. The shop guy locked the door. They told him to keep me here. Who are you talking to? He said. Who did you call? Nobody you need to know, I said. Fix this, he begged. I cannot fix consequences, I said. Return everything. Now. He went quiet. I could hear the TV in the background. A game show buzzer. Someone laughing. Derek whispered, What do you do, Corin? I did not answer. I ended the call. My phone buzzed again. Frank, they just sent a verification letter to the seller's home address, he said. I did not give it to them. They already had it. My parents just got it too, I said. He let out a low whistle. I have never seen paperwork move like this, he said. That is because you are watching it from the wrong side, I said. Another email came in. Transaction hold confirmed for Derek. Investigation flag placed. Restitution channel opened. Compliance review initiated. Authorized liaison Corin. Frank said, whatever you do for work, it is not normal. I said it is normal when someone touches the wrong kind of property. He paused. He said I did not realize who I was speaking to. Nobody does, I said. And I meant it. The paperwork started stacking up faster than Derek's excuses. Frank texted me a photo of a manila folder labeled Asset Recovery 2147 in black marker. Inside it were camera screenshots from 3 angles, showing Derek placing the compass on the counter, Frank flipping it over, Frank locking the door, timestamps. Transaction logs printed from the register showing no sale processed. A copy of Derek's ID that Frank had scanned when Derek first walked in like he always did at pawn shops. Frank called. They asked for camera footage, he said. I uploaded it. They asked for transaction logs. I printed them. They asked for ID verification. I scanned it. They asked for chain of custody documentation. I wrote it. He paused. They asked me to sign an affidavit. I did. I opened my inbox. Another email from Compliance Review. Subject audit trail confirmation. They wanted timestamps, IP logs, system access history. I forwarded it to Frank. He replied with a single word. Damn. The restitution channel opened that afternoon. It was not dramatic. It was a form with 14 fields and a drop-down menu labeled Reason for Restitution. I selected Unauthorized Sale Attempt of Logged Property. I attached the serial photo. I attached the engraving close-up. I attached Frank's affidavit. I hit Submit. Derek called me 5 times in 20 minutes. I did not answer. My father called. Corin, he said, trying to sound calm. This is getting out of hand. Someone from a government office just called our house. They asked about Derek's finances. They asked if he has any other military items. They asked if we were aware he was flagged. You should have thought about that before letting him take it, I said. He raised his voice. You are ruining his life over a compass. I am documenting what he did, I said. The system is doing the rest. My mother texted me. Please stop this. People are calling. This is embarrassing. Derek's bank flagged his account that night. Investigation flag, temporary hold. He texted me a screenshot of the notification. What did you do? He wrote. I did not reply. He sent another message. I cannot access my funds. I cannot pay my credit card. My flipping account just got frozen. They are asking me for documentation on every transaction from the last 6 months. I wrote back one line. Return everything. Now. He called me again. Corin, he said, voice shaking, I cannot sell anything. Every platform flagged me, even the app I use for thrift reselling. They are saying my account is under review. This is insane. This is paperwork, I said. He cursed. You always do this. You hide behind forms and rules. I said nothing. Frank called. They just sent me a compliance officer questionnaire, he said. 30 questions. They want me to certify I did not pay him anything. They want me to certify I did not offer him anything. They want me to certify he attempted to leave. I laughed once short. Welcome to the system, I said. He exhaled. They also asked if he has any other items from that source. I said I did not know. I said he claimed it was his grandfather's. They asked me to describe his demeanor. I wrote nervous, defensive, minimizing. Frank hesitated. They asked if I felt pressured to process the sale. I wrote no. My mother called again. Corin, she said, crying now. Derek cannot access his money. He cannot pay his rent. He is panicking. You need to stop this. He is your brother. He made a mistake. He did not know what it was. He did not know is not a defense, I said. You are always so cold, she snapped. I am precise, I said. My father texted me. You are destroying the family over pride. I texted back. He tried to sell Grandpa's legacy for $20. The family destroyed itself. Derek showed up at my apartment that night. I did not open the door. He stood in the hallway and knocked until my neighbor came out and stared at him. Corin, he said through the door, fix this. I am flagged. My accounts are frozen. I cannot work. I cannot move money. I cannot even buy groceries. I said nothing. He slid his phone under the door. It showed a bank app with red text. Account temporarily unavailable due to investigation flag. He started crying. I waited until he left. Another email came in. Subject additional audit trail request. They wanted Derek's online marketplace usernames. They wanted his transaction history. They wanted any previous sales involving military items. I forwarded it to Compliance Review. My father called one last time that night. This is going to make us look bad, he said. People are asking questions. I said, good. He hung up. Derek texted me at 2 a.m. I will return it. Just make it stop, I replied. It does not work like that. In the morning, Frank sent me a photo of Derek sitting on the folding chair, head in his hands, the closed sign still on the door. He wrote, "They told me not to let him leave. He is asking if this will go away if he apologizes." I wrote back, "It will go away when the paperwork finishes. Should family be exempt from consequences just because they share DNA?" The meeting was not dramatic. That was the worst part. It was a conference room in a regional office building outside Raleigh beige walls, long table paper cups of bad coffee, a speakerphone in the center. My parents sat on one side. My mother kept smoothing her sweater like it could fix something. My father sat stiff, jaw-tight, eyes forward, already angry at whoever he thought was embarrassing him. Derek was not there. He was still flagged and not allowed to leave Fayetteville yet. A woman from Compliance Review joined on the screen. 2 men from the property office sat across from my parents. One of them opened a folder and started reading from it. "This meeting concerns Asset Recovery Request 2147, he said. "Unauthorized sale attempt of logged military property. Possessor Derek. Chain of custody violation. Restitution channel initiated. Investigation flag active." My mother's eyes flicked to me. "Corin," she whispered. "What is this?" They continued. They described the compass. They described the serial. They described the engraving. They described the camera footage. They described Frank's affidavit. They described the transaction logs. My father leaned forward. "This is ridiculous," he said. "It was my father's compass. It was in my garage. My daughter never even picked it up." The man nodded. "It was logged property," he said. "It was never authorized for private sale. Your son attempted to sell it. That triggered a recovery protocol." My mother shook her head. "You are treating him like a criminal. He did not know what it was." The woman on the screen said, "Ignorance does not change possession or intent." There was a pause. Then one of the men said, "Authorized liaison Corin will remain the point of contact for this case." My father turned slowly. "What did he say?" The man repeated it. "Authorized liaison Corin." My mother stared at me. My father stared at me. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then my father laughed once sharp. "That is a joke," he said. "She works at a desk." The man looked at me. "Is that correct?" he asked. I nodded. "Yes." The woman on the screen said she opened the ticket. She verified the serial. She initiated the audit trail. She authorized the restitution channel. She is the liaison. My mother's face went pale. "Corin," she whispered. My father's voice rose. "You did this. You called the government on your own brother." I said nothing. The man opened another folder. "There are additional flags on Derek's accounts," he said. "Investigation related. Temporary holds. Compliance review of prior transactions." My mother started crying. "This is humiliating," she said. "People are calling us." The man nodded. "There will be further notifications," he said. My father slammed his hand on the table. "This is insane. She is ruining us with paperwork." The woman on the screen said, "The paperwork reflects what happened." I finally spoke. "You all laughed when he called it junk." The room went quiet. My father stared at me like I had slapped him. My mother covered her mouth. "You always think you are better than us," she said. "You always act like you are above everyone." I shook my head. "You called me a paper girl," I said. You called me a desk soldier. You told me real military was not in emails. I looked at the folders on the table. The emails are the only reason this is happening. The man cleared his throat. The restitution process will continue, he said. The item will be recovered. There may be civil penalties. The investigation flag will remain until compliance review is complete. My father stood up. This is a disgrace, he said. My mother stood too, shaking. Corin, she said, how could you do this to your own family? I did not answer. I did not need to. The speakerphone chimed. Another voice joined. Property Disposition Office. We have received confirmation from the pawn shop, the voice said. The item is secured. The seller remains on site. My mother sank back into her chair. My father went very still. It was the same freeze Frank had. The same empty look. The same moment of realizing something bigger than them was now in the room. The man looked at me again. We will be in touch, he said. I nodded. The meeting ended. No yelling, no handcuffs, no speeches, just paper, just names, just consequences. At that moment, who do you think deserved the family name more? The consequences arrived the way paperwork always does. Quiet, official, unemotional. A certified letter showed up at my apartment from the Property Disposition Office. Inside was a notice of restitution. Derek was required to pay an administrative penalty for unauthorized sale attempt of logged military property, not criminal charges, civil liability, enough money to hurt, enough to remind him this was not a joke. Another letter went to his bank. Investigation flag confirmed. Account review ongoing, transaction limits enforced. Another went to the resale platforms he used. Ban from dealing in military property, permanent. He texted me a photo of the letter. They banned me, he wrote. I cannot sell anything military-related ever again. I did not reply. My parents got their own letters. Notice of compliance review involvement. Notice of documentation request. Notice of potential civil exposure if additional logged items were found in their possession. My mother called me screaming. You have destroyed our name, she said. People at church are asking questions. Someone mentioned the word investigation. My father texted me. You have embarrassed us beyond repair. I blocked both of them. Derek tried calling Frank. Frank blocked him. Derek tried calling the pawn shop again from a different number. Frank did not answer. The compliance officer called me. Restitution confirmed, she said. Ban enforced. Investigation flag remains for 90 days pending final audit. No criminal charges recommended at this time. I thanked her. She paused. You handled this cleanly, she said. I said nothing. A week later, a padded envelope arrived in my mailbox. No logo, no ceremony, just a tracking number sticker slapped crookedly on the front. Inside was my grandfather's compass, wrapped in brown paper, a stack of documents thicker than the compass itself, chain of custody form, asset recovery confirmation, restitution receipt, compliance closure notice. I held the compass in my hand. It felt heavier than it should have. I thought, turns out legacy comes with a tracking number. Derek texted me that night. They took everything I had saved, he wrote. I have to pay restitution. I am banned from flipping military items. No one will touch me now. You win. I did not answer. My mother sent me another message. We are losing friends over this. People think we raised a thief. I did not reply. My father sent one last text. You could have handled this privately. You chose humiliation. I typed back one line. He chose to sell it publicly. I deleted his contact. The family reputation collapsed the way reputations always do, slowly, quietly, through whispers, through questions, through people who suddenly stopped inviting them to things, through looks that lasted a second too long, no headlines, no public trial, just consequences. Frank texted me a photo of the pawn shop counter, empty glass case, compass gone. He wrote case closed on my end. He added, "I have never seen paperwork work like that." I wrote back, "It only looks dramatic when you are standing under it." Derek stopped texting me after that. I heard from a cousin that he moved out of Raleigh, that he was working construction, that he was borrowing money from friends, that he was angry, that he still said I ruined his life. I sat on my couch and held the compass. I did not feel victorious. I did not feel righteous. I felt light, like something heavy I had been carrying since childhood finally got put down. The system did not punish him. It documented him. It restricted him. It corrected him. That was enough. I sat at my kitchen table with the compass in front of me. The same table where I had paid bills, filled out forms, answered emails that changed other people's weeks. I opened a small wooden box I had bought years ago and never used. I placed the compass inside. It fit perfectly. I wrote 2 words on a piece of masking tape and stuck it to the lid. Recovered. Not for sale. No ceremony, no speech, no photos. Just a quiet click when I closed the box. I picked up my phone and called an old mentor of mine, a veteran I had worked with on a case years ago. He answered on the second ring. "You sound tired," he said. "It is over," I said. He paused. "Good," he said. "You did it clean." I said nothing. He added, "That is harder than people think." I hung up. I sat there for a while. I thought about my grandfather, about the way he used to tell jokes that were not really jokes, about the way he taught me to pay attention to details, about the way he said some things follow you even when you pretend they do not matter. Some families do not break you with punches. They break you with jokes. They call it teasing. They call it practicality. They call it love. The hardest part is not losing the thing. It is realizing you were never valued like you valued them. I did not feel angry anymore. I did not feel sad. I felt empty in a way that felt honest, like a room after someone moves out and takes all their furniture. I did not unblock my parents. I did not text Derek. I did not need closure from them. The paperwork was the closure. Frank froze. Then my parents did. And for the first time I did not move to warm them back up. I put the box on a shelf next to my books. I turned off the light in the kitchen. I went to bed. Did Corin go too far or just far enough? And what would you have done?